Alright, guess we're live. Sweet. This one could be interesting. This thread for books. I'm always interested in, like, I would say learning something new. So it'd be kind of pretty cool to see what other people recommend. Show Hacker News. Tinder for cats. Hello? Shows up and does nothing. He's made a living out of it. What? Alright, I'm actually curious for this Tinder for cats thing. What? What? Do it. Paramedic? Unable to type with boxing gloves on. TV specialist, analyst, communicator. Alright, why the heck are we doing this? What? Okay, it's just using cats as a demo for I guess Tinder Online? Hold up, I'm curious now. Why would someone make this? Tinder Forbidden. Oh, someone took the source as a source code for like some kind of Tinder clone for our online, and then made the source code available, and he just made it for cats. Tinder for bananas. Oh my fucking god! No. Ah, okay. Let's see what the GitHub code says. Oh, it's all JavaScript. Shit. Okay. I mean, that's kind of cool, actually. Honestly, I in my spare time, I might actually want to, like, back then I probably would create a project like this. I think it's a very useful way of learning how to write JavaScript code and a website. It'd be quite kind of cool, actually. Yeah. So if you're looking for like projects, like something like this, a dumb website would definitely be pretty cool, actually. Hey Justin, what's up? Missed a meeting, but won't miss the stream. Yeah. Good to see you again, man. Yeah, we'll be starting in like maybe 7 to 10 minutes. Let's see where people are at. But yeah, I just saw this like Tinder for cats shit, man. It's kind of cool. It's definitely a cool demo project for sure. Terminal-based Pokemon-like game. Okay, people come up with some really weird stuff. Oh. Interesting. They basically made a text game and then literally just... Wow. Yeah. So they basically made Pokemon into a fucking terminal text game, man. That's kind of fucking cool. Yeah. See, like, there's no shortage of like projects to do, even though like the two that I've brought up are pretty freaking stupid in terms of like actual like usefulness, but they're still really cool to look at. Okay, let's see what this thread says. Jacob's Room, Virginia Woolf. First and foremost, the Bible. Is this Kanye West? Oh, previous threads. Dude, I heard that one's pretty good, actually. So good to see you again, too. Yeah, Tinder for cats look dope. Yeah, it's, I don't know. Like, people come up with some pretty funny shit sometimes. It never ceases to amaze me. Like, you don't have to, like, be some kind of fucking try-hard genius to create a project. No, it could be like something as dumb as Tinder for Cats. And it helps you really learn just the act of doing something like that, just making something, just teaches you so much more than just reading tutorials. Patterns in prehistory class. We're learning about prehistory. Patterns in prehistory human. This one I might actually pick up. Yeah, I might actually take this one. Steve Pinker's Enlightenment Now spreading the virus. Steven Pinker, the psych guy? Really? I don't know. This sounds like some popular science psychology bullshit. I don't like this one. A Treatise of Human Nature by David Hume. Oh God. Man, a lot of these philosophy books are so dense. Like I legitimately cannot read them. I think I tried reading Martin Heidegger or Immanuel Kant at one point, and I was like, oh fucking God. Nietzsche was at least easier to read, actually, Beyond Good and Evil, but anything else outside of that, like Thus Spoke Zarathustra, I could not read. I remember like reading like was it Newton's Theory of Monoids or something like that, or monads, and I'm just like I cannot fucking do this. Like even page 6 took me like a goddamn hour, like 6 pages. I don't know. Philosophy is one of those interesting what's it called areas that just straight up you either get it or you don't. Like especially when it comes to like the very dense way that they write. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of these are like popular. Okay, this guy actually, if he's representing this, this might actually be pretty good. Yeah, actually, I think this guy's actually giving good books recommendations. Yeah, this is one I've been meaning to read actually. Robert Moses and the Fall of New York. Is this like some Serpico shit? Brief History of Humankind. Although I feel like the origins of political order might be better than this. Eh. Atlas Shrugged. Okay, Ayn Rand. The Scout Mindset. Why people think clearly and others don't. Okay, I'd be happy to read that. Yeah, I think based on this list, I think it might actually be worth. Um, this guy might actually know what he's talking about. I'll save this one actually. Catcher in the Rye. Nah. I don't really get it. The ones that are like fiction and literature, I don't that are real literature, I don't know, I don't get it. Who's my favorite philosopher? Hmm. I would probably say like in terms of like a character, it would definitely be Diogenes. But in terms of if you want like quote unquote people who are more cultured, probably Schopenhauer. Yeah. I would say those two simply because like Diogenes is like very very simple. But then Schopenhauer, when you read his writings, is also very simple as well. Although Schopenhauer, I think, tended to merge like Eastern philosophy with West, if I remember correctly. I still do have a few books on my shelf. So one of them is like this one, Closing the American Mind. I think the commentary on philosophy in the middle of it is actually pretty decent, although it's pretty hard as well. It's been a while since I read this one. I might crack this open again for a little bit, but I think the political philosophy, or at least the political commentary that he makes here, is a little bit, I would say, how to describe it? It's very critical for especially for people from our age and year who are not really used to seeing it. So for instance, one of the issues that I think Alan talks about is like this issue of political capital, where and he makes a commentary about the '60s, where basically people just didn't understand or appreciate what came before them, and so all this goodwill that has been built up through the years through various political movements, or should I say non-political movements, have just been basically been spent on making these systematic reforms that people don't really understand what they're doing. So, sexual revolution commentary is definitely one of them. And yeah, it's an interesting book to read. I don't know how seriously I would take it because it's kind of like way before my time, but the concepts are definitely very transferable. Anyway, it's 11 a.m. Let's bring my client on. Hmm. All right. I mean, he didn't respond, so let's see. I'll give him a call. Huh. He's not responding. Fuck. All right. I'll give him another 3 minutes. Yeah, I'll give him another 3 minutes. Let's see what happens. He's not online. All right. I guess we'll just scroll around while we're waiting. But if he doesn't show up, then I'll probably just stop the stream early today. Anyway, if you guys are interested in like the books on my shelf, I could probably put them in a list and then put them on my Discord. A lot of them have to do with investing, but then there's like a few that I have kind of I think left at my mom's place that I think are still worth reading and retrieving. So I need to kind of figure that one out. Okay. I guess he's a no-show. I guess, yeah. That sounds like a good idea. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can just I can create a list and then upload it to Discord. So if y'all are interested, I do kind of like a absurd amount of reading though. I should warn you. It's like when you look at like people who have all these like crazy ideas and genius, like 9% of the time is that, or I should say 999.99% of the time is that they've seen the pattern somewhere else. I think one of the really interesting pieces. Hold up. Let me actually pull this one out. Okay, cool. I think it's this one. So this is one little packet that I like. It's called The Psychology of Human Misjudgment. It's available for free online. Let me just bring it up. Actually, I think I've dropped it in my Discord chat a few times. But let me actually pull it up. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, so I would recommend anyone read this. It's basically so Charlie Munger is like a really really fucking fascinating guy. He is the vice chairman of Berkshire Hathaway, and he basically spends his entire fucking life reading. He's like he's really gigas fucking smart, and he's like 95 years old. So this one, basically is just gonna tell you like, hey, if you're fucking up in making your judgments or like making calls, most of the time after a certain point, it's gonna be like it's gonna be because you had a tendency or some like misfiring in your human brain that basically told you, hey, you should be overweighing these factors and underweighing these factors. So let me give you an example. Um, what's a good one to talk about? I mean, simple pain avoiding psychology denial. Let me give you a solid one that I can give an example to. Over optimism tendency. Yep. People tend to be overly optimistic about projections about the future. Social proof tendency. I would say yes, not stress influence, availability misweighing, use or lose it, authority misinfluence. Yeah. This one's a big one. I think the one that I'm most prone to is actually this one. So basically, if a authority or someone that you look up to basically tells you to do something, most people just end up doing it and just don't question it whatsoever. It's almost like a version of the Milgram experiment, except for the fact that it's not. I guess like yeah, it's almost pretty much the Milgram experiment. But I noticed that in engineering, if like say a staff software engineer tells me to do X, Y, Z, even though he doesn't have full context of the situation, my brain just fucking melts down, and I just do what he says and nothing more. And this is like a very bad misfiring for me. It took me a while to really realize that I had this, because for so long I basically thought that, oh my god, everyone that I'm working with is a fucking genius, so they must be 100% right. But turns out, well, they're not always 100% right. At best, they're probably like 80% right. The last 20% is filled in by like your. It probably would change if they had your experience or your knowledge of the actual content, because it's easy to make a call from the top down, and 80% shot calling is pretty good. But then the last 20% is the bottom up of like the details that will make or break whether or not these top down approaches work. So I really encourage anyone watching to give this one a read. It's very easy to read, and it will expose like a lot of like tendencies that you have to mistakes that you'll make. Like why do people make certain mistakes when it comes like not just engineering but life in general and making decisions. And I guarantee you'll at least find 5. I had at least like 7 or 10 of these actually. And so a lot of what I do now is really try to combat them, and I find that in work, like especially for engineering, like understanding what tendencies you lean towards and just understanding where your potential pitfalls are for misjudgments is extremely useful when being objective about things, and also when like being more complete about your code. So this is one I highly recommend. If you haven't read like Poor Charlie's Almanac, this is also at the back of it. If you have a copy of it, that is. Do I regret leaving Apple? Not really. I would say for a while I kind of did. I'm not gonna lie. I won't go into the various reasons, but the one is that when you find a group of people that you really like, respect, and want to work with, it doesn't really matter how much you're being paid. But for me, that was never really a factor for the pay or whatever, because I saved up every single bit of my money. In fact, like, just to give you a context of how much I save, I basically I think I saved pretty much over 80% of my income. Yeah, like a ridiculously stupid amount. So money wasn't a problem to me. What I really wanted was to learn, but then I kind of realized that I was walking into a blind arrangement where there was no necessary guarantee that I was going to learn what I wanted to, and that the team wasn't as organized as I wanted it to be. So my experience has been completely different. Having left Apple, I will say now my team right now at Uber is definitely very, very good. And they're very high performing, and they've been in the industry for like 15 years. So it's very close to what I had back at Apple, but it's still not quite it. If you can find a job where you are constantly learning from people, you find people who are better than you, have a really strong work ethic, it really doesn't matter how much you're being paid. I think that that's not really talked about, and I don't think a lot of people really appreciate it, because so much of like big tech is like very, very corporate. People are very replaceable. And what ends up happening is that there's a lot more focus on the short term rather than like a long term 4, 5, 10 years out. And I would say like even like in year 3, if you put in the right effort, you'll see it compound amazingly, and that's exactly what happened to me at Apple. Like for the first 0 to 2 years, it was pretty hard, but then by year 3, it just like took off, and then by the time I left, I was definitely doing a lot of crazy ass work that I never thought I would be. But the problem was that even though I had mastered like all the basics and all the stuff that was there, I had no idea where to go, like in terms of like my thinking and like what technology I should use. So for instance, like when setting up a like how would you set up a roboelectric test for or a suite of tests or re-architect an entire app that was millions of lines, that was like a million lines long? I mean, I had my ways of doing things, and I tried refactoring, based on like everything I read in book. But it turns out there's a big disconnect between like books and reality, and that's the part that was basically what I was running up against. Is that without having the prior experience or without having talking to other people who have done similar work or at least a scope of work like that, I just had no idea what I was doing. And so I would basically be randomly throwing things against the wall, and that's kind of like why I left. It's like I had no direction of where to go, and I didn't have the ability to make, and I didn't have like the network to make contact with people who could tell me what to do or teach me. And I mean, yeah, I definitely would go back to Apple at some point. I really like the team there, and I think the culture is the best bar none. But it's ultimately up to me to make the leave worth it. I think. If I change the current company, what company would you work for next, especially for career growth? I think there's plenty for me to learn at my current company. Actually, there's no reason to leave. Um, yeah, it's hard to say, because ultimately it's ultimately up to the team that I'm on and the people I work with. You can find those at any company. It's just a lot more easier to find them at certain companies than others. So it's hard. It's hard for me to say. Anyway, I guess he's not showing up, so we'll stop the stream early today. Thank you all for joining me. I know we just kind of like ended up chatting for a little bit, but I mean I don't mind doing this. It's definitely a more chill stream than I'm used to. So if you're like looking for like book recommendations or stuff, feel free to ping me on Discord. But yeah, hopefully we will get him back on Tuesday. Let's see what he does. But until then, thank you all for joining me, and I'll see y'all later.